Okay, just a brief look back over normalisation and a few key terms before we move forward anymore. Normalisation, well, the aim was to go from unnormalised form through to first normal form, then through to second, and finally into third normal form. So what does it mean to say something is in third normal form? That could be a typical exam question. What is meant by third normal form? Third normal form means that every attribute is dependent on the key. So every attribute is dependent on the key field. The whole key and nothing but the key. So that would get you 3 marks in the exam. Every attribute is dependent on the key, the whole key, and nothing but the key. Another way you could answer that question, if asked what does it mean to be in third normal form, you could say that it contains no repeating groups of attributes. There are no partial dependencies. There are no non-key dependencies. What we mean by that is there are no attributes depending on other attributes that aren't actually the key. Why is it important to be in third normal form? Well, it minimises data duplication. There's no unnecessary repeated data. Improves the data consistency. Eliminates data redundancy. So they're key examples. Here then we've got some unnormalised form data. This is to do with students' enrolments. I'm going to expand this a little bit. This is the task we did in class. We could have, this is non-atomic at the minute, let's make that atomic. Just call it first name, it's easier. Last name, and we might have the date of birth. Okay, so we've got more data in there. This makes it better to deal with, more realistic. Still not as realistic as what your projects would be. So the key for first normal form is to break this into 2 tables. We have to ask ourselves, what is it that we are actually doing? Well, we've got students, we've got courses, we've got teachers. We can spot there are 3 different IDs there. But that doesn't necessarily mean we've got those number of primary keys here. We've got students, we've got courses, we've got teachers. Ultimately, this is an enrolment system. So we're looking for what students are on what course. So the repeated groups would be the courses. Each student, there'll be just one student that might do several courses, but each course will be done by many students. Overall, many students do many courses. So have a look, what are the non-repeating groups? And we can copy these over here. And if we take the repeating group and pop that there, so we've actually created 2 tables. First name is dependent upon the student ID. Last name is dependent upon the student ID. Date of birth is dependent on the student ID. Course name is to do with the course ID, the level, the length, the teacher on that course, the teacher name. All of those are to do with the course ID, not the student. This is our repeated group of data. The next step is to copy the primary key from our non-repeated groups and put it into our table of our repeated groups. And this, I'm just going to change the primary keys to be in a different colour. Let's have these in red. And this would create us a composite key. So composite key is when there are two or more attributes that uniquely identify a record. That is now said to be in first normal form. Let's go for second normal form. Second normal form is all about looking at the table with a composite key. So first of all, let's copy this one straight over. Let's make a copy of our composite key. And for each of these attributes we then need to say, does it rely on the key, on the whole key? Is the course name dependent on both the student's ID and the course ID? So is the course name dependent on the student's details as well as the course details? If not, pop it down here. Course name is only dependent on the course. So we'll copy and we'll put that down there. The course level, well, that's actually just dependent on the course. The course length, well, that's actually still just dependent on the course. The teacher ID, again, that's just dependent on the course. And teacher name, that's just dependent on the course. We'll now take a copy of the other primary key and put that there. I'm going to move these up. And we've got our three tables. So we've gone from a many-to-many relationship to a one-to-many, one-to-many. We've got our resolution table. Where this could have been expanded, imagine if we'd have kept track of what grade a student got. Grade achieved. And year achieved. Then grade achieved and year achieved would have been in this table. And actually the grade achieved doesn't just depend on the course, it depends on the student that took that course. So that would have been a contender for that table. Also, the year achieved, well, that depends on what student took it. So that would have been there also. Third normal form is about looking at the table that we've just created as new. So not the composite key one, not this one because that's remained the same now, but looking at this new table. So we can take a copy of all of that, and we can take a copy of that there, and we're looking through. Does each of these attributes just depend on that primary key, or is there something else in there that it depends on? Course name, I'll go with that, it's to do with the course ID. Course level, to do with the course ID. Now we could say course length depends on the level. So I'm going to say that that length is all dependent upon our level. In which case we'll make this a foreign key. So I'm going to give that a dark yellow colour. And we're going to take the course level and pop it here as a primary key. So the next thing we're looking at is the rest of this. Teacher ID does depend on the course, so let me bring that down further again. I'm going to put that in there. But teacher name isn't wholly dependent on the course, this could depend on the teacher ID. So I'm going to have to put this next to it, but this goes out into another table also. So there we've got another foreign key. Choose that foreign key, this would be a primary key. So we've actually, in third normal form this time, is taken our 3 tables and turned them into 5 tables, all interlinked. And we double check with our tables, are they all linked together? Yes, them two are linked there, this one's linked there, that's linked to there, and this is linked to that one. So that is a perfectly normalized system where every attribute is dependent upon the key, the whole key, and nothing but the key.